parable begins with two words in Greek, anthropos tis, which means this is a rich man, but not any particular rich man, just some guy. He has a steward. The word for steward is oikonomos, which means he rules the economy of the household. And the parable tells us in English that he is charged with wasting his master's possessions. There are two problems with that. First one is the Greek doesn't say that he was charged with anything. It says he was slandered with this particular charge. It means that the story, as Jesus told it, implies that the charges were false. But the bigger problem is that it doesn't say in Greek that he was wasting his master's possessions. It said he was spreading them around. That does not necessarily imply waste. Yes, he could have been scattering them abroad, but the word is also the word you use for scattering seed on soil. It could be that he was simply investing his master's possessions. It's an odd thing to charge the master of the economy with investing and have it be a bad thing to have done. Once he's slandered, he begins an elaborate decision-making process, deciding what he'll do next. He proceeds with great speed and clarity to his conclusion, but his conclusion makes no sense. He decides to actually cheat his master and imagines that somehow by cheating his master he'll make friends with his master's business partners, forgetting that business always must proceed with the assumption of some sort of proximate honesty, and he's just broken that rule. Who's going to welcome him into their company knowing that he cheats the people he works for? It's odd, and you're supposed to be offended by that. The rich man's response is perhaps even stranger. He commends the servant for his dishonesty. Why? What boss would do that? What master would ever do that? So the question in front of us is, what's the point of the parable? What's the point of the knife that is stuck into us with this story? Let me suggest a few things. There are more. One, this parable says if you imagine you live in a morally simple universe, you're not old enough to live in this universe. The world is complicated. Two, everyone is caught in those complications. This parable makes it clear that if you imagine idealistically that your hands are and will always remain clean, you have not been paying attention. That one is especially complicated because it requires us to notice that, for instance, when churches grow, they frequently grow at the expense of other churches. It's not evangelism, it's piracy. It requires us to note that however many times we say that the bottom line is not the sole measure of a business, it is a measure and it is the one that matters. It also requires us to note that too much idealistic protest forgets that we are all enmeshed in a system that is more complicated than we understand. Why would Jesus tell a story like this? Jesus appears to be particularly aware of the complications that make human life what it is. It's an odd parable, but it is one to chew on.